Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the second update to the Throwing Shade project, and if you haven't seen my intro or my first update, I will have those listed in the cards. I will also have in my description box the link to Jessica and Amanda, who are the ones that started this project. So thank you so much to them for including all of the other ladies doing this project as well. And I will have a link to a playlist in my description box with the videos to all of the other ladies doing this project as well. So before we get into the update, if you haven't seen this before, I just wanted to quickly mention that this is not a panning project. This is not meant to show progress on your items. It's just a way for you to rotate through your collection. And the point of this is to pick 3 palettes, and you use one palette the first week, and then the second palette the second week, and then the third palette the third week, and then the fourth week you use all of them together and sort of create looks with them. So yeah, today I'm going to show you some swatches and then sort of some pictures of looks I have done with the palettes and also what I think of them. So let's just get into it. So the first palette I used was the Dream St palette by Colourpop, which is a Kathleen Lights collaboration. And if you haven't seen the inside, this is what it looks like. So you have a bunch of neutrals, then you have like a red, a teal, and then like a shimmery teal. And then this one is sort of like a silver shimmer with sort of a duochrome. It looks like a almost like bluish tealish duochrome when you sort of pair it with the other teals, but it doesn't look like it's in the pan. But yeah, I will include some swatches of this palette so you can see that there are 2 shades in this palette that are pretty similar, which is these 2 right here. And I don't like how this shade right here swatches. This is the shade Sweet Dreams, I believe. And yeah, this one right here is not, like the one I have here in the palette, is not the one that is supposed to be in this palette originally. This was in the All I See Is Magic palette, but because I like this highlight, like inner corner highlight, a lot better than I like the other one, I just decided to put this one in here for like this project. But when I pull the All I See Is Magic palette, I will probably switch them back so that I can use this highlight shade in that palette as well. But yeah, I sort of challenged Kana last time to sort of do a trash reformulate and repurchase on the palettes that on the 3 palettes that I am going to talk about today. And sadly this is the one that I would trash just because I don't like this shade at all, which is one of the more unique shades in this palette. This is looks very pretty, and I feel like I've gotten some pretty looks with it, but it sort of has too much of a dark base for me. I wish it was more like Fringe from the Urban Decay Electric palette that I've been wearing a ton because it's in my Pandos eyeshadows project. And yeah, otherwise it's just a bunch of neutrals. I think this was especially hard for me as well, particularly during the 4th week, because a lot of the shades that you can find in here that are like fun and or like a lot of the shades you can find in here that are shimmery, you can also find in the Natasha Denona palette. So there was really no point for me in reaching for this because I had all of those colors in the other, or similar colors in the other palette as well. So sadly this would be the one I would trash, but I will still keep this in my collection because it's a nice palette. I would probably in a few years or so, I would probably consider taking them all out and sort of mixing them with, because I have 2 other Colourpop eyeshadow palettes, so I would maybe take them all out and just sort of mix them around in a AC palette. But for now I'm just going to leave it as is. And I totally forgot to take photos of the look I did with this, but I just did sort of a neutral look with this one in the crease, and then this one in the crease, and this one on the outer corner, and then I used the gold sort of on the lid. But yeah, it just looks like a really pale gold on the lid. But yeah, let's move on. So the 2nd week I used the Natasha Denona blue and purple palette, and I have rearranged mine, so this is not what it looks like when you get it. So like the shade names of this one are totally like not correct. But yeah, this is the palette. So what I've realized since I started using this palette more for the week that I like had this in my product, I realized I have the same problem with this that I have with the VCR Dark Matte palette, because every time I open this palette my eye is immediately drawn to this shade right here, which is called Aubergine, and because that is sort of my favorite color family, like the purplish sort of aubergine shades. So I will use this in every single look I do, and unfortunately this is not very good quality. Like this is probably the shadow in this entire palette with the worst quality. So I had sort of like a negative, not like a but it wasn't positive, like a, yeah, I didn't have a positive experience with this palette before. But now that I have sort of branched out and used some of the other shades, like all of these like grayish blue mattes, they blend out like beautifully, and like all of the shimmers in here are spectacular. Like I really love the quality. So for me this would probably be the palette that I would repurchase of these three. The only thing is that I would repurchase it for the price that I paid for it, because it was on sale when I got it, and it was on sale like 40%, so I got it for definitely like a steal. So I would pay that price again, but I would not pay like $239 for it, because that's just too expensive. But yeah, I would like repurchase for the price that I paid for it. But yeah, there are some of the shades in here that are, like, as I said, spectacular. But the swatches I have for this palette is firstly the first two rows, and I didn't swatch them the way they are laid out here. I tried to swatch like the gold shades like next to each other, because here is one of the gold shades and then here is the other one, and in the palette, or not so much on camera, but in the palette they look exactly the same, but they don't look like that when you swatch them out. They are actually pretty different. Like this one is way darker than this one is way more shimmery. And then I swatched sort of the purples and then the grayish blues, and they all swatch really nicely, except for some of them, I think. The look I am wearing today, I forgot to mention, but in the look I'm wearing today from the Colourpop palette, I have the peachy shade right here, and then I have the red shade. And then from the Natasha Denona palette, I have this shade right here. And I have a tiny bit of aubergine like on my outer and inner corner. And yeah, I just really like this palette. And unfortunately, when I don't use it like in a product, I don't reach for it. So I don't know if I will have to like create a product around this palette, or if I would make it this like my palette for next year, just to make me use it, because whenever I use it I really love it, and then I sort of, it's too big, so I can't remember what's in it, so I can't like figure out looks I want to do it in my head when like I'm not looking at it. So yeah, I don't know, I do really like it, and I do like the quality, and I would purchase like Natasha Denona eyeshadows in the future. Oh, and I will include two pictures of looks I've done. One is a very like soft purple look, so I used like the purples down here, but very softly, and then I used this shade that I used today as well, and I think I used a bit of aubergine in the outer corner as well. And then in the second look I used the baby blue down here, and then like the darker blue, and I use this blue on my outer corner, like this shimmer blue. It's stunning and it swatches like beautifully. And then I also used, I think I used a bit of this grey right here. This is like a greyish blue. And then on my lid I actually used another shade from another palette, so I used a sort of shimmery pink from a Sleek palette, because that is in my whole collection product 10 pan. So I used that one for this look, and while I have this here I can just swatch it like live swatches. This is so beautiful. But yeah, those were the looks I created with the Natasha Denona palette. And then the last palette was the Sleek Makeup Ultra Matte version 1 palette, and I don't think I did any looks with this palette just on its own. I sort of used it in conjunction with other shades all the time because I'm not like a matte eyeshadow person. But the look I did with this mostly was that I took the orange, or I took the yellow into my crease, and then I took the orange, and then I took the pink also in my crease. And then I sort of used, I can't remember if I used something darker in my outer corner, but I used sort of a purple like here on like 3/4 of my eyes outwards, and then I used a orange shimmer on my inner lid, and I did that look, I think I did it like 4 times or 3 times or something like that. Just because I wanted to see some progress on this pink, because I thought I might be able to hit pan on it, but then I grew tired of that look, so then I did like a green look that was really pretty with this green here, and then I think I used this sort of in my outer corner and inner corner, and then I used a lime green like just on the center of my lid, so I did like a halo eye. But yeah, I think I said before, I really like the quality of this palette. As you can see from the swatches, there are some duds, so this purple is a dud, and then all of these 3 shades are also duds. I have used this pink shade as a blush. This has also been in the consideration of doing this as a panda palette for next year. And if so, I will probably take this out and put that in a bigger pan and sort of use that as a blush. But yeah, this would therefore be the palette that I would reformulate, just because there are some dots in here. And also this one is really hard to blend out, but there are some shades in here that are spectacular, like I really love them, and then there are definitely some shades in here that I would reformulate. So yeah, those were the palettes that I have been using for the past 4 weeks, and I'm just very excited to move on to some new palettes, because I said I felt like this had no place in this like duo. I feel like these worked really well together, but this just had like, when I mix the pink and the orange in this palette, I get almost the same shade as I get from the red in here. And like, this was just overflowing. I didn't need to use this. I could just have easily just used these 2 and got the same looks as I did when I combined it with this one. So yeah, I'm just very excited to move on to some new palette. I also wanted to mention that since last time, I have decided to include my C palettes in this jar of palettes, because I have quite a few of them. I have 7, and I just felt like I want to give them the same attention as I have been giving my other palettes, and I think it will be fun to, yeah, just include them as well and sort of work with them. I have sort of some different color themes and stuff, but they are not really in their regular configuration right now, because I use them for like wedding makeup this weekend. So they, yeah, if I get one of them, it might be the way it should be, or it might be just jumble up. So yeah, we'll see what I do about that. But okay, let's just pick 3 new palettes. Okay, so I have 3 here. So the first one is the Sleek Ultra Mattes version 2. So I have the version 1, but now I'm going to work on version 2. And then we have the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics Flaming Love palette. And the third one is the Suva Beauty Cupcakes and Monsters. So I will grab those and then I will show them to you. So I feel like I got more variety this time, so which I'm excited about, and I'm really excited to be using these 3 palettes. So the first one I got was the Sleek Ultra Mattes version 2 palette, and as I did with the other matte palette, I will probably not use this on its own. I will use this with other shades that I'm currently working on, but this is what that one looks like, and I have pan in the purple shade. And then I got the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics Flaming Love palette, and here is what that one looks like on the inside. So you have some like neutral shimmers and some sort of colorful shimmers, and then you have 3 matte browns. You don't have any like transition shades, so I think I will have to pull in other shades as well, but I'm fine with that, and I'm excited to be using this. This is actually one of the older palettes in my collection currently. And then I also got the Suva Beauty Cupcakes and Monsters palette, and here is what that one looks like on the inside. So a super bright palette. My sort of thoughts on this palette right now before going into this project is that I don't like it. So I'm sort of hesitant and sort of excited to see what I think about this when this project is done, or what I think about this in the next update. So yeah, those are the palettes that I will be wearing for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that was everything for this update. Let me know down below which palette you would trash, reformulate and repurchase, and what your thoughts are on the palettes that I used and the ones I will be using for the next 4 weeks. And give this a thumbs up if you like this series on my channel, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!